Oh, because we're talking about breastfeeding. Now that you asked me that question, have you ever tried like breast milk?
No.
I have.
I was grossed out to try my own breast milk.
I tried it because I wanted to know what my daughter was drinking or
Is it
eating.
good?
I mean, you need to try it. Maybe on
No.
no,
I can't.
you can't.
No.
You should try it. You need to know what the baby is
I
eating and
should, but
whether or
I'm
not they
not
like
going
it.
to.
I
I don't
tried
want
it.
to.
I liked what I tried. It was,
I used to always joke around. You remember I would joke around with you? I'd be like, hey, let's take a shot of breast milk.
and I actually took it literal, and I did it. And
Yeah,
you
I
you
didn't
chickened
do
out.
it. I chickened out. There was no way.
Yeah, I liked it. Hello, I'm Tijani Musa.
And I'm Yasmin Musa, and this is how we're doing it.
Welcome to How We're Doing It. Here we'll share stories about our journey and experiences of being first-generation college graduates, our family, buying our first home, moving across the country, and living a debt-free lifestyle. We do so in an authentic, fun, and educational way to help other first-generation immigrants with similar paths. We're back at it.
Hey.
All right, so
What are we talking about today?
what? No. That's my question.
No, because you always like to ask me. Let me ask you.
No. That's my question. That's not how it
No.
works. That's my question. So I get to ask you what we're talking about. You tell me.
No, you tell me.
I don't know. like Jocelyn. I
I
don't
don't know.
know. All right. So tell us, what are we talking about today?
Fine. Okay, our topic for today is breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we start, you guys know we're just parents. We're talking based on our experience,
Right.
based on a class that we took before we had our baby.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want real medical advice, this is not for you.
Hey. If you want real medical advice, go seek it after you listen to the episode.
Okay, good one.
Yeah, after you listen to the episode, or go seek it and then come back. And this is an added bonus for sure. We've talked about before where when you compare to like practical things that you have to do, right? Compared to like things you would learn from a book, it's different. How the book has it in theories, and then when it's time for application, it's two different things. So this is similar to that. This is our experiences based on what we're going through, what we've been through, uh, in combination with some notes that we took in the class leading up to our life experience. So
Yeah.
let's go.
All right. So, right after you have your baby, the nurses are going to give you your baby to have skin to skin time. And then they're going to ask you your preference if you want to try to nurse. If you want to, obviously that's a personal choice. If you choose to and you want to,
Right.
then they'll go ahead and help you try to get your baby latched onto your breast. So one big thing that I didn't know when, before baby or any of that is that at first you're not really going to have any milk. What you have is called colostrum.
Yes.
And what it is, it's a thick yellow liquid. It's very nutrient dense. It's high in antibodies and antioxidants that help the baby build their immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be what you're going to supplement the baby with. Now, remember, we've talked about how the baby has a very small stomach during this time. And so you may not be producing as much, but the baby's getting enough. Okay?
I think I've heard a thing where they said your body produces the amount that the baby needs at that particular time of their life.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And so the more you latch the baby on, the more that production is going to
It's like
happen.
supply and demand type of thing.
Exactly.
The more the systems or body requires, your body would communicate with them and produces that amount.
Right, because you're basically your first 3 months after having the baby, you're establishing your milk supply. That's
Right.
the time where, you know, the more the baby's on the breast, the more milk you're going to produce. So your body's adjusting to what your baby's needs are.
Right.
It's pretty cool, I think.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
those biological things that there's no explanation for it. It just happens. Your body knows, and the baby knows what they need or what they want, and then your body knows what to give to them and the amount. It's
Definitely.
amazing. It's amazing.
And so about 2 to 4 days later, you're going to have what's called transitional milk, where you're going to have colostrum. It's yellow looking, and then you're going to have some of that milk blended together. So it looks white and yellowish. And then eventually you'll get to the mature milk in a couple days.
Right.
But I remember the first time you said, you're like, so we've talked about before how when we first had our baby, our daughter, we supplemented with donor milk at the hospital.
Yep.
And the donor milk was very white. You know, it's mature milk. And I remember the first time you saw what I pumped.
I thought it came out bad already.
Yeah, you looked at it and you were like, why is it yellow?
It looks like vanilla.
Yeah, it looked because it was that transitional milk. I think it was a lot more colostrum than milk even.
Right.
And you looked at me like, is this still okay? And I was like, yeah, it's the colostrum. It's really good for the baby. Don't worry.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah.
It was the good stuff. I liked it. Oh.
You liked it? Does that mean you tried it?
Oh, because we're talking about breastfeeding. Now that you asked me that question, have you ever tried like breast milk?
No.
I have.
I was grossed out to try my own breast milk.
I tried it because I wanted to know what my daughter was drinking or
Was it
eating.
good?
I mean, you need to try it. Maybe
No.
no.
I can't.
You can't.
No.
You should try it. You need to know what the baby is eating and whether or not they like it.
To.
I tried
don't
it.
want to.
I liked what I tried. It was,
I used to always joke around. You remember I would joke around with you? I'd be like, hey, let's take a shot of breast milk.
and I actually took it literal, and I did it. And
yeah,
you,
I
you
didn't
chickened
do
out.
it. I chickened out. There was no way.
Yeah, I liked it. Go on.
So another point that I want to bring up is, because this was brought up in our class, is that the size of the breast does not reflect the ability to produce milk. And I think that's really important.
Say that again one more time.
Size of breast does not reflect ability to produce milk.
Wow. Okay.
Because look, y'all, I am the president of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee. And I am proud of that, okay?
Wait a minute. I don't feel that way.
I'll say it. I own it. It's okay. It runs in my family. Perfectly fine with it. I've learned to love them.
The president
just
and
the way they
CEO.
are. But look, like not to brag, but I had a lot of milk.
Yes.
I had so much milk. Thank God. I was so grateful for my milk supply. And,
Yes.
you know, I'm very small chested. So your breast size does not impact how much milk you're going to produce. It's all got to do with stimulation. It's got to do with, believe it or not, your diet, like your liquid intake. There's so many factors that go into it aside from just the size of your breast.
Yep. That's definitely a good one right there because you, my lady, produced, or should I say my wife or my woman, my everything, you produce thousands of ounces of breast milk. And I was like, what body is all this milk coming from? Thousands of ounces of breast milk. I was super impressed. And the baby was super appreciative because she had supplies of milk. At some point, we even considered donating some of the milk that
we did.
Yeah, closer to when our baby was turning 1 and 1.5, those type of things. And there was a shortage. Remember, there was a shortage of
I do remember
formula.
I do
and we
remember.
considered highly like donating milk during those times.
Looking back at it, I could have, you know, hindsight, right? Like at the time for me, because I was exclusively pumping, it was a very emotional, very personal journey.
Right.
And I just did not have it in my heart to give my milk away.
It was okay.
And looking back, you know, after we had so much. We ended up having to move cross country with all this breast milk, frozen
Right.
breast milk, that
Right.
is. And, I think I, could have given a few bags away and baby would have been just fine. But
Mm-hmm.
in my heart, I just could not do it. I know it's very selfish, but hey, it's my body.
Right.
It's my liquid gold, and I wasn't doing it for anybody but my baby.
I
And
don't think that's selfish. If it's selfish, it's healthy selfish because you are doing it for your baby, and it was for your baby. It's exclusive for the
Yeah.
baby. So, but you have a good heart. The
Thank
fact
you.
that you, in retrospect, you're thinking the way you're thinking. So, that's a good heart. I'm sure you'll
I
be
can
rewarded.
always, yeah, I can always change, for next
Absolutely.
baby if
Absolutely.
I really feel inclined to. So I think it's really important to take, if you don't end up taking a breastfeeding class, at least look at like videos of what breastfeeding should look like. You should see more of your areola, the dark part of your around on top of your nipple or around your nipple. You should see more of that on top of the breast than below if the baby is latched on properly. There's so many different positions that you can do breastfeeding, like you can cross cradle, cradle hold, football hold, you're laying on your side. I think looking at videos is the best way to explain and
Mm-hmm.
to really get a good idea of what that should look like.
Yeah.
And at the hospital, nurses will be there to help you.
Yeah.
So the hospitals most of the time also have a lactation consultant who can come talk to you and make sure that you get a good foundation of your milk established
Yes.
before leaving the hospital.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. I don't know if that's health insurance specific, but we did have a consultation by lactation consultants who came in and gave us a brief explanation of what to expect and the things to be mindful of. So
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely something that you could have something that when you could even discuss it with your insurance company before you get to the hospital for delivery.
Absolutely. Some points that they told me that look for this to make sure you have an effective latch. Make sure the baby's mouth is open wide, that they have rounded cheeks, their chin is touching the breast, the lips are flanged out, the ears and the jaw are moving, you hear swallowing, and you feel a strong tug.
Mm-hmm.
From the little that I breastfed, I do remember it's a sensation. You will feel it when that baby's getting that liquid.
Mm-hmm.
When the baby's finished, you want to make sure that you burp the baby and then offer the second breast. The baby will show signs of being finished by either slowing down or letting go.
Mm-hmm.
You always want to start your next feeding on the breast that wasn't fully drained at the previous feeding. So if you started on the left and that one emptied and then you offered the right and then the baby slowed down or let go, so you stopped, the next time you do it, make sure you start on the right. And once again, I'm going to bring up Huckleberry because they have a really good app where you can even track which breast you used, and it has like a timer so you can time how long baby was latched on that breast and then how much time you did with the other one. So good tips to try.
Definitely download that app. That app is instrumental. It's a very 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 good, nicely detailed, thoughtful, intentionally made for that type of stuff for parents.
Yeah. We were told that a feeding and burping could last from 20 to 45 minutes. And it varies each time, really, depending on baby and.
Yeah, yeah, and when it comes to burping, there are, I didn't know there are like different types of burping mechanisms or different types of burping a baby. Like for us, we would like maybe tap on the baby's back, burp, and some people see that as like too hard for the baby, and some people have their own different methods. I think the best thing you could do when it comes to burping, like the different techniques out there, look at a video on YouTube and see which method works best for you, or maybe talk with the consultants, the lactation consultant that you work with, and ask them the best way to burp a baby. And whatever way is comfortable for you and your baby, you go with that way.
Try that, yeah, for
Yep.
sure. Always look for those hunger signs. So the baby's going to they're going to do a sucking motion. They're going to open their mouth when they're touched. They'll put their hand to their mouth. Or they'll bring the foot towards their chest. Remember, crying is like the last resort. Crying is the last sign of hunger. Feeding guidelines. You always want to breastfeed the baby when the baby's hungry. So breastfeed at least 8 times in 24 hours. So that would be about every 1 to 3 hours, including nighttime. Especially when that baby's small. Their stomach is just so small that they can't go very long without food. You'll also come across, when babies are growing, you'll come across what's called cluster feeding.
Right.
Meaning that the baby does several feedings in a very short time period. And that's completely normal. It's just the baby's extra hungry because they're growing.
Right.
Always have liquids nearby when you're breastfeeding. You want to drink lots and lots of water. I can't emphasize that enough. All the water. To feed a sleepy baby, you want to hold the baby for skin to skin. Change their diaper. That was a tip that we were given by our lactation consultant, was, you want to have her not asleep. You want to have her in awake state, so she can actually know what she's doing.
Right.
So try to keep her awake. You can compress the breast. You can switch sides or burp the baby, and all of these things will help keep the baby awake, so they're not falling asleep at the breast. Signs that your baby's getting enough. If the baby's feeding at least 8 times in 24 hours, if they're active and engaged, when you're breastfeeding, if you have periods of rapid sucking and swallowing, that's a good sign. After feedings, the breast should feel soft and less full. And then, you're also going to have your appointments where the baby's going to be weighed, and that's when they're going to be able to tell how much is the baby, how many ounces are they taking. I remember we had one appointment where this is probably like 4 or 5 days after Jasleen was born.
Yeah.
And we had an appointment where we went in and they weighed her before
feeding.
She fed, and then they weighed her like immediately after, and we were able to tell how much she drank based on that.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that very, very clear.
Yep. Remember, the first few days you're feeding the baby because you're trying to clear that GI tract.
Yep.
And the meconium, that black poop is going to come out, very normal. Then it's going to transition, and then that poop for the baby will be yellow seed looking.
Right.
I think one thing that I was confused on after we had Jasleen is that I thought to supplement, it needed to be formula. And the lactation consultant we were working with shared with us that it doesn't have to be just formula. Right. She said you can pump, and you can also give that to her, and that's also considered supplementing, and it's not just the formula. Right. Because at first, do you remember, like, our journey was, we wanted the breastfeeding to really work that like first month, right?
Yes.
And so in order to not get our baby used to a bottle, we were syringe feeding her. And you were using your finger to feed her.
Yep. The first couple of days. Yep. Because technique, like I used the finger and lift her upper, what is it called? Your upper mouth? Like that's I don't know what it's called, but
I don't know.
I don't know what it's called. All right, my biology was very, very slim.
the roof of the mouth.
Let's go with the roof. Okay. I like that. The ceiling, the roof. But I'll lift that, and then I'll use the syringe to pour in the breast milk, and she was comfortable eating like that. And I remember the first couple of days without doing the finger thing. she wouldn't eat the
She
food.
wouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that helped open her mouth also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they grow, like, as they get bigger, they adapt and things get easier. But when they're first born, they're learning. Just like you're learning, they're learning.
You're teaching them
So,
everything that they need to know to survive.
right.
Yep.
So with breast milk, the more frequently you feed the baby, the faster your milk is going to come in.
Mm-hmm. And it's the same for pumping as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When your milk volume increases, so around 2 or 3 days after giving birth, your breasts become like heavy, tender. That's the result of like the increased milk production.
Mm-hmm.
It'll stop it'll stop like about a day or two.
Yeah.
Once you start continue feeding that baby frequently, that'll help. Like, remember, the first 3 months your milk supply is getting established, so it's normal to first you don't have anything, and then you kind of overproduce,
Right.
and then finally your body's like trying to figure out and realize, okay, what is enough and for this baby.
Right.
Now, one thing to look out for is engorgement. So what that means is when the breasts are too full, so it's gonna feel hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna feel painful.
Yes.
It's very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you had several of those.
I did, and latching Jasleen was the best thing to get rid of that engorgement for me. Very early, but then once I made the decision to exclusively pump, I had to find other ways. So I would warm compress. I would use that to help. I would
massage it.
I think I used Epsom salts at some point.
Yes.
I also used do you remember the Levi vibration massagers?
Yep.
So it was warming and it was massaging at the same time, vibrating. And that would really help with the engorgement.
Does a warm shower helps?
Yes, that helps too.
Yep. I
and
remember.
Massage while you're showering, and that'll help.
Yep. That's those are. I remember you used to complain so much about those.
Yeah. Heat and breast massage are always gonna help with your letdowns.
Yeah.
So that's always good to try, anyways.
Right. Now, can I ask this question?
Mm-hmm.
Can your husband help you with the engorgement?
I think at one point it was so painful. I was like, I think you might just need to help me. But I think I got it out just before that. I don't remember. Or did you try?
I'd like to take some credits. I'd like to take some credits that I tried and it worked. Let's go with that.
Sure, but I don't remember at this point.
That's my story, and I'll stick with it.
You do you, boo. You do you. Now, those first few days, your nipples are gonna hurt like a bee. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
But you want to care for them as best as you can. You want to ensure you have a proper latch, your positioning is appropriate. You're breaking that suction gently, so don't let that baby just kind of to get the baby off when they don't stop on their own. You want to break the suction by inserting a clean finger inside the baby's mouth and then pulling away. Otherwise, it can be very painful and can damage your nipples. You want your breasts to stay dry. Use breast pads. They sell them at the store with those disposable ones. And then, like, if you go on Amazon, you can get the reusable ones too that you can throw in the wash. Don't use harsh soaps on your breast. If anything, the best thing to put around your nipple is honestly breast milk. It can help the healing. Leave them air dry. Leave them exposed as much as you can. It helps a lot. If you have really tender and sore nipples, air exposure, dropping, like I said, any breast milk around them will help. There's also nipple butter. You can look on, you can pretty much find it at any store. Like, I'm sure even a grocery store would have it, your pharmacy. But look for something that can help with treating and lubricating that area.
With the soreness. Okay. All right.
let's see. Oh, we talked a little bit about diet, but you know, water is your main thing.
Yeah.
Hydrate, and you want to have a diet with a variety of flavors. You want to expose the baby to as many different flavors as you can. You want to take prenatals, or nowadays they even have like postnatal vitamins that you can take, because prenatals are a little bit different ingredients from what your body needs after having the baby, so you should try postnatals if you can find them, or if you find a good brand that you trust. Make sure to limit mercury, limit your caffeine intake as well. For me, I love coffee. That was probably the hardest thing for me to give up, while pregnant and then while nursing. So I would still have a little bit of coffee. I was drinking maybe like 2 cups in a day. And I remember once we started trying, and then I found out I was pregnant, I was like, okay, I can still have it. I'm just going to have the decaf for the flavor.
Right.
I did go through like that withdrawal phase probably in like the first week, but then I was pretty much fine.
Yes. Just be mindful with the amounts of the different things that you intake, especially when you're in that breastfeeding phase, because those, like what Yasmin was saying, like hydrating, drinking a lot of water, because if you don't have the right diet, your production, your milk production could be reduced. And so eating the right foods, drinking lots of water, all of those helps with the milk production.
Yeah. And now, when we were talking about how we were syringe feeding Jaslene,
Yeah.
We were trying to establish breastfeeding, and we were told you want to avoid using bottles. You want to avoid using even pacifiers.
Yes.
Until that nursing, the breastfeeding is very well established, which would be about like 4 weeks.
Yeah, you don't want them to depend on those.
Right. Not at all.
Yeah.
Figure out the nursing part first.
Yeah.
And then you can start pumping. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
From the beginning, is figure out nursing first, and then you can start pumping. Now, that's what I was told in the class. But then when I saw the lactation consultant, she said, "No, sweetie, you don't have nipples."
Yeah.
I have flat nipples, so she was like, "You need to start pumping immediately in order for you to get your milk to produce."
Right. So on a case by case,
it is on a case by case.
Yeah, if you're on the other side of this, then do what Yasmin just mentioned. But for her case, she had to go into establishing that pumping scenario right
and
away into effect.
I'm gonna do an episode of just pumping, because
okay,
I think pumping is like on its own.
Right.
A journey.
It's a whole different journey with a lot of resources as well.
Right. Breastfed babies need vitamin D drops.
Yes.
You want to make sure you receive, it's 400 IU of vitamin D per day. I don't even know what the IU stands for, but I wrote down. And you want to give this to the baby as a supplement. You can get the drops of vitamin D on Amazon or pretty much anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Sometimes your insurance will provide them.
Yes.
Which is really nice. Our insurance personally did not, so we ended up just buying them out of pocket.
All right. According to the internet, IU stands for International Unit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Learned something new today.
That's right.
The breastfeeding is going to be the sole source of sustenance for this baby for at least the first 6 months.
Right.
And you can continue breastfeeding for as long as you want, 12 months or longer. But, during those first 6 months, it's just breastfeeding. The baby's stomach is not fully developed yet. So you want to make sure you're cautious with what you're feeding baby. They cannot have really anything, no water. We've shared before in one of our episodes how water has empty calories that the baby, it makes the baby feel full but with no nutrients, so that can be very unhealthy for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. The last point I have here is just to keep your baby on your skin as much as possible, even when at home.
Right.
So you know those wraps that where you can like hang your baby.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ideal thing to wear around the house because you can just keep your baby as close to you.
Yeah.
And then you're doing like the skin to skin, which skin to skin is supposed to help increase supply and
Yeah.
help with breastfeeding.
Yeah. So many different types of baby carriers
Mm-hmm.
that it, yeah, so many designs. You have the one that you could use to travel around. It has a lot of, you know, room for ventilation, air, and everything like that. And then you have the one that you're describing where the baby is like cuddled.
It's more like a wrap, the
Yeah,
one that
it's
I'm
like a
talking
wrap.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the baby is cuddled and
Mm-hmm.
very close to your body, and getting that personal body to body contact.
Which we didn't
Yeah.
have one with Jasleen. You and I had we had like a little carrier for when she was a
Right.
little bit older.
Right.
We didn't have like a baby wrap where you can just wear your baby. That's something that I definitely want to change for baby number 2 whenever
Yeah.
that happens.
Absolutely. But luckily, she's still very huggable. Like she likes to hug, and she likes receiving hugs from us.
Sometimes I'll be like, hug. She's like, no hug.
And I think it's the phase, the toddler phase, where when they learn the word no, anything you
Yeah.
ask or say to them is a no.
She started saying besito,
Yeah.
which means kiss. And the other day I was like, dame besito, give me a kiss. And she said, no cito,
With personality.
no cito. I was like, okay, no cito. Can't force you.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
For the listeners that are like into like bullet points, I'm just gonna briefly mention in bullet points some of the things that Yasmin just covered when it comes to like breastfeeding. Number one, find a comfortable position when you're doing breastfeeding. Number two, ensure a good latch. Yasmin mentioned that. Number three, stay hydrated and eat nutritious foods. Number four, feed on demand. Feed your baby whenever they show signs of hunger. Number five, seek support. Don't hesitate to seek help from lactation consultant. Number six, take care of yourself. Rest when you can. Accept help from others. Number seven, stay relaxed. Relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or gentle music can help create a calm environment, promoting milk flow and making the experience more enjoyable for the baby. Take pre or postnatals, and then limit mercury and caffeine.
You can't even say coffee, bro. It's caffeine.
I don't drink coffee. That's the reason why I'm struggling. Limit caffeine from your diet.
One great resource that we got from our class is kellymom.com. It's a website, KELLYMOM.com, kellymom.com. And then a book that was recommended to us, which I didn't end up reading, so I can't give you guys, an overview or anything like that. But The Nursing Mother's Companion was a book that was recommended to us when we took this class. And then, I would say like there are so many resources now that you can find. Facebook has a bunch of groups. I think I remember being a part of some groups for that were around like breastfeeding support. Sometimes the best people to ask to are like the doctors wherever you have your baby. You can ask, do you have any like support classes for parents? What breastfeeding resources are there? Those are probably the best people to ask because they'll have resources that are in your area available to you.
And if you're younger than us, don't hesitate to ask TikTok.
Sure.
Just put breastfeeding techniques on TikTok and you will find a lot of things, because we've heard people that are younger than us talk about parenting using TikTok. So we just want
La Leche League is another one. Leche
yes.
League International.
All right.
It's LLLI.org. Or LALECHE league.org.
Yeah, I think actually if you look up like breastfeeding clubs or breastfeeding near me, I think the either like they have a bunch of nonprofit organizations that talks about breastfeeding support, all those type of things. I think also the federal government also has like breastfeeding websites to like gather tips and information about breastfeeding and support groups that you can find in your area.
Yeah. I remember my mom would have like little tips for me for breastfeeding. No scientific evidence behind them. I think it's just cultural things that are passed down from like woman to woman. Like she would tell me, don't eat corn because it's gonna make the baby like gassy.
Yes.
Give them colic, which is when they cry, just basically for no reason. They just cry, and you can't really pinpoint why they're crying.
Right. I mean, your mom was instrumental, even though you were not drinking coffee that much, but you drank lots of atoles.
Yeah, my mom would make me atoles, which are
to help you with
milky,
production.
I don't know how to describe them. It's like a milky
pudding,
hot cocoa thing.
It's
but it's not. But it's not chocolate.
No, it's not.
No, it's made from starch. It's like a starchy, warm drink.
Let's call it a custard.
But it's not like.
But it's a little bit thicker.
You're thinking it's thick, and it's not because it's supposed to be watery. But she would make me, for example, like rice is supposed to help with milk production. So she would make me rice atole or oatmeal, which is also supposed to help with milk production.
Yeah.
There was another one she would make me, I think, sesame seed also helps. And she would make me one from that too.
Now, we don't have any scientific proofs that this does, but it worked for you.
It did work for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Remember, itty bitty titty committee, lots and lots of milk for baby.
That's right. Yep.
So talk to your mom, maybe.
The CEO and president.
A good female role model you have. And
right.
Ask if they have any tips for you.
Awesome. Any final tips, or that would be it?
No, that's it. I think, everybody's journey is different. These are things that you and I learned, from taking our class, but also just based on experience. There's no right or wrong way.
Right.
I think when it comes to breastfeeding, I feel like the biggest thing to remember is a fed baby is a happy baby. You do whatever works for you. If you don't want to even try breastfeeding, great. Just decide what formula you're going to give your baby. If you decide, well, I don't want the pressure of my baby not getting enough, great. Then, just not getting enough, with just your breast milk, that's great too. You can supplement. You can give the baby formula as well. Like, there's no right or wrong way. Because in reality, our kids are going to end up fries from, like, the car floor. No matter whether they're breastfed or formula fed, when they're in toddlerhood, they end up eating anything off the ground.
Right.
So
you can't control that for sure.
Not at all. You do what's best for you. What works for you.
Yeah, the amazing thing is it doesn't matter how you keep the house clean. They'll find stuff
to put in their mouth.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It's gross. That's why they're always sick.
Yeah. Wow. Well, to put it simply, there is no wrong or right way to do this, but the best way to do it is keeping your baby fed. Like what Yasmin said, happy baby, happy life. Thank you for listening to another episode of How We're Doing It. We want to hear from you. Contact us at hwdipodcast@gmail.com or leave a comment. If you like the show, consider subscribing in order to get notified of new episodes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again on the next episode.
Mama. Papa.